In the geopolitical stance, strength and respect is offered to the powerful. Jai Hind everyone, today's lecture topic is Indian nuclear policy. So if I talk about the Indian nuclear policy, we have seen that India has been trying to become a nuclear power from the year of 1974, when we first had our Pokhran 1 test. And that Pokhran 1 test was not that successful because we had been facing many of the sanctions from the United Nations of Security Council. But India still tried, and under the leadership of our honorable former president APJ Abdul Kalam, in 1998 we had our Pokhran 2 test, in which we launched 5 of the nuclear tests, in which one was fission as well, the energy which has been used by the sun. Now we were successful in that, and India became the first country to, without signing non-proliferation treaty, and becoming the nuclear power. And in the 1998, because of having those tests, United Nations Security Council had put sanctions on us, and especially the US had put sanctions on us. But France did not join that partly led movement. And because of that, we had faced many of the deterrents in our 1999 Kargil war as well. Now talking about the current scenario, as all of we know that in 21st century we had not been fighting and we had not been indulged into any of the wars. That is because India has become nuclear power now. And because of our nuclear strength, we have become able to supply energy to most of the nations like Nepal and Maldives. We have been helping that because of our nuclear power. And energy supply hasn't been decreased since then. And this has also made us able to establish relationships with bigger nations like France and Russia. Now I would like to talk about the pillars on which the nuclear power is there, the nuclear policy is there. The first is non-deterrent movement of first usage of nuclear power in India. According to this, India have signed and walk according to a treaty that they shouldn't be using the nuclear power first. And the second is non-deterrent of the calibration. In that, India should have enough sources to get and be sourceful enough to provide the nuclear power to every forces and military. Now conclusively, I would like to tell you about that Indian nuclear policies are all in the conducement of the nation as well as the world, and we should focus more upon the nuclear power, as it provides us the opportunity to have strength and good relations with country. Thank you.
Etra Narayastu Puchate Ramanetu Tatra Devada, which is upheld by the Vedas Upanishads. It's nothing but woman, God resides where the women are respected. Yes, in this lecture, I am going to give a topic, lecture on women safety. According to NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau report of 2023, every 1 hour, 56 complaints have been registered as a crime against women in India. Women complaints against women has raised to 4.71 lakh crore. And this shows that women issues in India. So I am going to give what are the issues faced by women across the time and space. For example, as a baby, she is facing the issue of female infanticide. As a child, she is facing an issue of malnutrition, early child marriage. As an adult, she is facing the issue of malnutrition, anemic, and so many problems. As a old age, she is facing the issue of destitution and isolated, financial insecurity, whatnot. So these are the so many issues she is facing. As in employment, she is facing the issue of glass ceiling effect. She can't able to improve much. She can't able to avail the opportunity. She has to avail that. So these are the many issues which faced by women. As said that every cloud has a silver lining. Similarly, government has taken series of steps to improve the safety of women in India. So let me begin out with international issues. First is UN Convention on Discrimination Against Women, which is India also also signature for it, and legal measures like Prenatal Diagnostics Act and Women recent enactment of 198 Constitutional Amendment Act, Nari Shakti Vandyan Adhinyam to representation of women in 33%. Then states initiative, let me take with Tamil Nadu, which has launched Kaval Udavi, then UP Women Watchdog Initiative, She Box Initiative. Then coming on to this human trafficking, to avail the anti-trafficking units has been established separately in CBI, NIA, and there is several steps has been taken regarding this to ensure, as said by Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, we have to ensure women development, not only women-led development. So for this to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality, we need to take even more initiatives to uphold the woman as equal to men. As said by Swami Vivekananda once, bird can't fly with one wing. So we need both women and men to contribute equally to make into the developed Viksit Bharat by 2047. Thank you.
They say only farmers on earth live by their right, they toil the earth, and the other are dependent on their bread. So Jai Hind everyone, my name is Manisha Best and the topic of my today's lecturette is agriculture in India. So let's understand agriculture in India after seeing the status of agriculture. So India is the largest country with net crop area in the world, followed by USA and China. And if you talk about the India's export, it contributes to $63 billion to our forex reserve. Now if you talk about the area which is dependent on the monsoon, more than 60% of the agricultural land is dependent upon monsoon. Now in the past year 2023, so according to the statistics, almost 20% of the GDP is contributed through agriculture, and more than 50% of the India's workforce is dependent on farming background. Now let's talk about what have been the phases that India's agriculture has passes through. So we all remember that India was a food deficit country pre-Green Revolution, but there was a paradigm shift after that and we became the food exporter and also contributed to the food security of the worldwide. As of now, we are contributing to food export to more than 120 countries. Thus, India is contributing for the food security in the time of climate change, when most of the agriculture land and productivity is prone to insect and pests, and also to heat and unseasonal weather extremities, for example rainfalls and heat waves. Now after that, let's talk about the development that India's government has done. India's government is focusing on irrigation and also through the development of several dams and hydroelectric power, which are also making complementary developments in line with producing and generating electricity. So these are also meeting the irrigation requirement. As I've already mentioned that more than 60% of agriculture is dependent on water intensive crops and irrigation dependent. So these are also threatening the India's soil. For example, it is reducing the water level in ground. So now we have to take initiative in crop diversification. For example, India made an initiative in the worldwide in terms of making a world consensus on making 2023 an international millet year. So we are in the right direction, and as the government is also working on securing the irrigation sector and subsidizing fertilizer, I think solar pump installation is also a right step. Thank you.
The chairman of drafting committee, B.R. Ambedkar, described the president as the head of the state, but not the executive. He described the president as the representative of the nation, but not the ruler of the nation. Jai Hind everyone. I will be delivering my lecturate in the topic of roles of President of India. President acts as a supreme commander of the Indian Armed Forces, and currently the President of India is Mrs. Draupadi Murmu, and he elected by an electoral college consisting of Parliament of India and the state assemblies. Now, if I talk about the roles of President of India, the first one is he preserved the Indian Constitution in the primary basis, and in the second one is legislature powers. In the legislative, they can summon and prorogue the sessions of both the session of the Parliament, such as Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. And in the executive powers, he appoints Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, and binding to their advice. And in the judicial powers, he appoints the Chief Justice of India, and on the advice of the Chief Justice of India, he appoints the other judges also. And President of India can take advisory jurisdiction with the Supreme Court. And in the fourth role of President of India, the financial powers. In the financial powers, they can give the assent of financial bills and also present the annual budget of Indian government before the Parliament. And if I talk about the pardoning powers of President of India, it can commute, pardon and remit the cases of court-martial and the death sentences. And President of India has the emergency powers also. It can declare national emergency, state emergency and the financial emergency. Now if I conclude this role of India's topic, President of India called the de jure head of the Indian state and have to work as the binding of the Council of Ministers advices. Thank you.
Martial art not only provides prowess but also inculcates the discipline as well as total development of a person. Jai Hind everyone, myself Ankit Yadav, and today's my lecturate topic is the favorite sports, and my favorite sports is Taekwondo. Taekwondo has deep rooted origins in Korea and has developed there. It has emphasized on the dynamics on the kicking part and is totally played by the kicking as well as some punches. It is a seamless integration of mind, body as well as the spirit. With time, Taekwondo has evolved and gone through various styles. It requires a person to be determined and dedicated towards its sports. We have various players at India level as well as at international level. If we look at the Indian scenario, we have Latika Bhandari, who is the top female performer of Taekwondo in India and was awarded the Vikram Award, that is the highest most award of sports in Madhya Pradesh in year 2012. Other than her, we have Surinder Bhandari, who is the first person to clinch bronze medal at 14th Asian Games in Nepal. Other than Indian players, we have Vito Akili, who won the gold medal at the Olympics, which held in 2022 at Tokyo. If we see that Taekwondo is still struggling in India, and we can take various steps to promote it. What steps we can take is we can work at the grassroots level and provide best coaches, as well as we can drive for the purpose of availing players to join the Taekwondo. and develop them with the abilities of discipline as well as inculcate the hard work in them. So I am done. Conclude. Yes, sir. And I have personally played taekwondo at multiple national tournament as well as represented my schools and my state and won many medals for the team and my unit as well as for my school. So what I have learned? Sir, I have told it in the initial part that it is.
Why is sports important for a person to pursue and what taekwondo teaches?
I have learned various things from taekwondo as like discipline, hard work, and developed myself in an overall way. And sir, I have nothing to say right now, sir.
Finally, the sports is good for the fitness, health, mental as well as physical. That's fine.
In conclusion, sports is good and is required for a person to be in a well-mannered way.
Jai Hind friends, today's my lecture topic is on Constitution of India. So what is basically Constitution? So Constitution is a set of rules and regulations which guide a country for administration of its governance. And our Constitution of India took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to be completed, and it got adopted on 26 November 1949. But it came into effect on 26 January 1950, which we celebrate as Republic Day. And then in 1934, M.N. Roy came up with an idea of Constituent Assembly for India. And in 1946, the elections were held to elect members for the Constituent Assembly. Then Constituent Assembly made some committees for different tasks for framing the Constitution. These committees were Drafting Committee, Union Power Committee, Union Constitution Committee, State Committee, and Power of Procedure Committee, Advisory Committee, and there was one more committee I am not remembering right now. And coming to the next part, the facts and features about our Constitution. So India's Constitution is the lengthiest constitution of the world. It had 395 of total articles when it got commenced. And next thing, I must tell you about something more unique, that our Constitution was neither printed nor typed, but it was handwritten. And next thing is, many of the features of our Constitution are borrowed from other countries, like Constituent Assembly and power of making rules are borrowed from British Constitution, and five years plan and fundamental rights are borrowed from Soviet Union. So coming to the next part, our Indian Constitution is not that rigid like American Constitution, and neither that flexible like British Constitution. It's a bit flexible, and along with it's bit rigid also, so it can grow and it can change with time. And our Constitution provides the citizen with fundamental rights, several fundamental rights. At last, I would say that our nation, our Indian nation, is a democratic country, and so monarch or a dictator can't rule that, and our government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you.
the first ever visit of our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in 2024 to Nepal, in which they held a meeting with his counterpart and held a meeting regarding the connectivity, trade relations and the power sector. Jai Hind everyone, today's my lecture topic is about Indo-Nepal relations. Nepal is an important neighbor of India and share a specific representation with India in its foreign policy because of the geographical, historical, cultural and in economic ties. Also, both the nations shared an open border and unhindered movement of people. Also, there is a connection regarding the Buddhism and Hinduism, and also there is a connection between both the people regarding the marriage and the family ties. And there is a friendship and peace treaty signed in 1950s between both the nations. Now I want to tell you about the area of cooperation between both the nations. The first one is the strategic importance. Like the India's five state shared boundary with the Nepal. The first one is the Uttarakhand, the second is the UP, Bihar, West Bengal and Sikkim. Also the river coming from the Nepal feed the perennial river in India. Also Nepal act as a front from the China's aggression to the India. The next one point is the trade ties. India is the largest trading partner of Nepal and Nepal is in trade deficit with India of worth rupees 9 to 1 billion. The next one point is the connectivity. Like there is a connectivity of railway linking project of the Kathmandu to the Raxol in India. The next one is point is the defense ties. From the 2011 there is a joint military exercise Surya Kiran held annually, and also there is a representation of Nepal in the Gurkha regiment of Indian Army. The next one point is the form they share commonly. The first one is the BBI in the BIMSTEC, SARC and the non-alignment movement. Now I want to tell you about the challenges regarding their relationship. The first one is there is a dispute regarding the territory. In the Uttarakhand region, these are the three regions, like the first one is the Kalapani region, Lipu Lake and the Limpidhiria region in the Uttarakhand region. And the next one is the West Champaran district of Bihar. Also the Nepal think that the peace treaty between both the nations is the India imposition. Also the next one point is that there is a China's intervention in between both the nations. In the conclusion part, I want to say that the both the nation took example like India solved the territorial dispute with the Bangladesh. So both the nation held dialogues and solved their territorial disputes. Thank you.
Fine. So it was wonderful lectures by you. Great efforts. All the best for your SSBs.